Greetings. You're watching breaking news on the Creative Society TV channel. In an age of technological progress, people continue to die from natural disasters and their consequences. Pollution, lack of food and water. Our lack of true values has driven us into the impasse of the consumerist format of society. Is there really anything higher than human life and the survival of the planet? No amount of money in the world can stop the climate. We need to find a solution as soon as possible. That is why we invite everyone to join the international online forum Global Crisis We Are People, We Want to Live, which will take place next Saturday, May 7th, 2022 at 3 p.m. GMT. Watch in this episode. More and more powerful earthquakes of magnitude 6 and higher are occurring on the planet. What used to be a rare occurrence is now becoming the norm. For example, in April 2022, there were more than 135 earthquakes with magnitude greater than 5. Watch more about the earthquake in Bosnia and Herzegovina and the flooding in Uzbekistan from our breaking news reporter.
Hello, this is a breaking news reporter from Uzbekistan. On April the 20th, 2022, mudflows and floods caused by heavy rainfall were observed in several regions of Uzbekistan. Unfortunately, as a result of the natural disaster, fatalities are reported in Jizakh region. In just 2 hours, as much rain fell on Samarkand and Jizakh regions as normally falls in the whole of April on average. Such a severe flooding was observed in these regions for the first time in 80 years. Houses and buildings were flooded, roads and crops were destroyed. In the disaster-hit village of Akisbulok, Farish district, more than 100 people were left homeless. A strong earthquake occurred in Bosnia and Herzegovina on the night April 23rd. According to the USGS, its magnitude was 5.7. The epicenter was about 20 kilometers from the town of Stolac. The hypocenter lay at a depth of about 5 to 10 kilometers. There were fatalities and injured people. Many residents were very frightened by what was happening. In Stolac, as well as in Malta and Lubin, cracks got formed on the walls of houses, and some roads collapsed. In addition to Bosnia and Herzegovina, tremors were felt in Montenegro, Croatia and Serbia.
The following is a video from Eyewitnesses of an earthquake in Croatia.
The quake was extremely strong. At first, I heard a loud sound from a distance that grew louder. Then everything started to shake. I got up, took a few steps around the room and saw the furniture sway. I held it with one hand until it was finished. It was really scary.
It started about after 11 p.m. I was at the computer. I had headphones in my ears. Then the chair began to swing, the table began to swing. The earthquakes in this area are frequent but usually short. But this time the earthquake simply did not stop. It was getting stronger, worse and worse. There was a noise outside. Fear gripped me, panic. But the most terrible thing was helplessness. My mother called me on the phone. She was in a panic and wanted to run away. I realized that I could not hide from this anywhere. I could not escape anywhere. I wanted to be with my loved ones. I wanted all this to stop. I realized that this is happening all at once, and you never know when it will stop. And that's the scariest thing.
Unfortunately, a recent trend of ongoing extreme weather events has continued in many countries. Latin America and the Caribbean is one of the regions of the world most affected by climate change. Pervasive natural disasters are severely damaging the health and lives of people, as well as the socio-economic development of the region. Next, the breaking news reporter will tell us what people in Ecuador, Venezuela and Colombia are facing in the second half of April 2022.
Hello, this is the breaking news reporter from Ecuador. On April the 24th, 2022, heavy rains caused the Chintaco River in Ecuador to overflow. In the canton of Santa Isabel, province of Azuay, a powerful landslide occurred and mudflows of water flooded the streets. Unfortunately, casualties and injuries have been reported. Dozens of homes were damaged and destroyed. Nearly 60 kilometers of intercity roads were closed because of the severe flooding. Meteorologists note that the rainfall far exceeded all forecasts. Floods and landslides were also reported in Loja and Cañar provinces. On April the 23rd, a state of emergency was declared in the department of Cundinamarca, Colombia, following floods and deadly landslides. There were casualties and missing people. Homes and roads were damaged. In his statement on April the 23rd, the governor reported that 85 municipalities out of 116 have been affected by severe weather since the beginning of the current rainy season. The disaster affected the lives of 20,000 people. The capital of Venezuela, Caracas, was hit by heavy rains on April the 20th and 21st. Roads and cars were flooded. Other regions of the country also suffered from the consequences of heavy rains. So, in the state of Zulia, the floods damaged buildings, roads and houses, leaving more than 100 victims. Due to the flooding of the Zulia River, more than 20,000 hectares of agricultural and livestock land were affected by the flooding. Families from flooded homes were moved to shelters.
A journalist from Ecuador and an eyewitness to the winter's floods will continue the topic of floods and their consequences in Latin America.
My name is Julio Cesar Soona. I am a journalist from the city of Guayaquil. Here, in Guayaquil, there is a sector called El Fortin, which is surrounded by water. Then, there are people who build their homes next to these places at their own risk. So what happened? It had been an atypical year because it didn't rain during the first months of the year. It wasn't at all like the winter here, but it was like in the last few days, when the end of the winter period is usually expected. I remember it had not rained, but then, that day, there was a strong storm, as if it was the end of winter. It rained a lot. Everything was flooded. There was a terrible chaos. Why am I talking about the people from El Fortin? Because I had to cover a situation about a family with two small children, an 8-year-old girl and a newborn baby. These rains destroyed their house. And that was not the only thing that happened. Why am I talking about the two little ones? Because the two children drowned in the flood. The newborn boy's body was not found. The 8-year-old girl was found, but she was drowned, as the rain did not stop. Let's take into account that El Fortin is next to mountains, so next to hills, as we say here. When we unite, we can build, and when we are not united, we destroy, unfortunately. So these are situations that we as human beings have to be aware of. Unfortunately, I repeat and I emphasize that precisely when the catastrophes and misfortunes happen, that is when we understand we have to unite. There should be a culture of full clarity. We have to be aware that this can happen, that the climate and nature are unstoppable. It is as simple as that. So it can manifest itself in ways that we don't know about, because we're just human.
A severe hailstorm lashed parts of North Kashmir, India on April 25, 2022, causing heavy damage to fruit orchards, vegetables, and paddy saplings. This is the second damaging hailstorm to hit the region this month. As per initial data, the loss caused in orchards ranges from 5% to 30%. Now watch more on the consequences of other natural disasters in the world.
On April 25th, massive hail, thunderstorms and heavy rain hit Saudi Arabia. This led to flooding in the northern and eastern parts of the country. Due to the large amount of rainfall, the ground in many areas simply could not absorb the water, leading to serious consequences. The situation was most difficult in rural areas. Hundreds of homes were flooded, power lines were damaged, and drinking water supplies were disrupted. Thousands of residents were evacuated. There were also severe dust storms in several regions of Saudi Arabia, resulting in a near total lack of visibility. Large-scale wildfires continue to rage in several states in the western and southern United States in late April. Strong winds and dry weather are contributing to the rapid spread of the fire. The fires have engulfed the states of Nebraska, Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. Unfortunately, one person was killed and more than a dozen were injured while the fires in Nebraska were being extinguished. New Mexico was hit the hardest, with a state of emergency declared in 5 counties. Hundreds of homes were destroyed. Thousands of people were forced to leave their homes. Because of the heavy smoke, air quality deteriorated in large areas.
On April 23, 2022, heavy rain in Rwanda caused floods and landslides. About 100 homes were destroyed and infrastructure was damaged. On April 25th, in the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo, heavy rains also caused a landslide. Unfortunately, both incidents resulted in casualties and injuries. Next, an eyewitness from Madagascar will describe the situation of those affected by the deadly tropical storm Anna.
My name is Enitso Rafalia, and I'm from Madagascar. Or rather, I live in the capital city of Antananarivo. A tropical cyclone called Anna crossed the country and did a lot of damage to the island. There were warnings from the state and the Madagascar Meteorological Service about impending hurricane-force wind gusts. People focused on getting ready, started putting away provisions to survive the cyclone because they were warned. There were small down failures in the areas. The whole area was flooded. The water got into people's homes. They were forced to move upstairs. Those who didn't have upper floors had to move into the stadium that was used to house the victims. And it was very sad to look at these people, because not only were their houses flooded, but cattle were also destroyed, and the rice fields were flooded when the rice had not yet been harvested. What shook me the most was seeing people who were forced to stay in their homes despite the flooding. They couldn't leave because of people who take advantage of the flood situation to loot houses when no one is there. It was also painful to see the victims crammed into the gymnasium where they were sheltered. There were many of them, and it was all poorly organized. It was a mess inside the gymnasium. There were a lot of people, mostly women, children, and old people. We need to come together today to change and improve what's happening now. Our lifestyle and approach to consumption is also important for climate conservation. I invite you to the International Forum Global Crisis We Are People, We Want to Live, to be held on May 7, 2022.
We've seen wars everywhere. We have seen misery, cruelty, and despair. We have seen wealth in the hands of just a few. We have seen toil and endless work from dawn till dusk. But where is our life? We have seen our freedom taken away, and we've got used to all of this. We've become numb and prefer to shut our doors to everything. But the wrath of nature has come, which can no longer bear so much evil and wants to wipe us out like parasites. Let's prove we're human beings who strive for the creative society where human life comes first, where one person respects another, where a human preserves nature and thinks globally about the consequences of his actions. When we work together, we are stronger, and no one can manipulate us anymore. We have already started. We, the people, bring the news to the people. Join us and watch the online forum on May 7th, 2022. Global Crisis, We Are People, We Want to Live.
Unfortunately, the end of April 2022 was marked by news from around the world of deadly floods and landslides caused by abnormal precipitation, strong earthquakes, powerful hailstorms, and large-scale forest fires. As we can see, cataclysms cover vast areas, endangering people's lives. Therefore, it is very important to cover the problem of climate change by exposing the real causes, namely the influence of astronomical processes and their cyclicity.
So how does galactic cosmic rays affect the Earth? The fact is that the harmful galactic radiation is directed at the right angle to the Orion Arm, in which the solar system and our planet are located. Previously, these rays passed at a tangent, but now we are approaching a point of near interaction. Unfortunately, little is known about this radiation. The issue requires urgent study and unification of all scientific potential of our civilization, of all researchers around the world. In 2001, Russian physicist Alexander Mikhailovich Mishin made a very important discovery. An extremely powerful stream of radiation was registered in a very specific region of space. Examination carried out by astrophysicist Shpitalnaya Alexandra Alfredovna on the radio telescope of Pulkovo Observatory confirmed its real existence. And further studies of radiation patterns, its flows from so-called Mission object, were established, and they came up with the conclusion that this very powerful energy emanates from a very particular place in the space that Mission himself considered as the center of the universe. Astronomers approached NASA and asked to compare this data to the data that NASA has, but unfortunately their request was just simply ignored. This radiation is probably the very same exact galactic rays that are making irreparable changes in the core of our planet, and also in the cores of other planets of solar system, and it even affects the stars up the arm, the Orion arm. And we already basically know that they are affecting the sun itself as well. And we know what kind of damage they can do within the 12,000 year cycle. Actually, the cataclysms that are caused by this radiation. So we need to figure out how to take counteraction to this radiation as soon as possible while we still can make this difference. Because very soon it's just gonna be too late. And for that, we need to unite all our potential.
We hear about predictions for decades in advance, but we don't have that much time. We've now entered the zone of energy impact, and by the time we reach its peak, we should already have the solution ready. It is for this we have to unite the entire global community on the principles of the creative society.
Because today it is absolutely clear that a rapid progression of climate change is taking place. And there is not a single politician, not a single diplomat of sound mind in the whole world, on the whole planet, who can deny the danger of all these phenomena.
Now it's already hard to deny. Because all over the world, with the cascading, tremendous progression, there happens that which we talked about a long time ago. If before we talked about it, and very rarely someone else tried to talk about it, nowadays even lazy people discuss it.
Oh, this trend towards unification, towards looking for ways to unite, is so clearly noticeable that this is already being voiced from all sides, though from different platforms, from different parties. In particular, just off the top of my head, recently the week of the 76th session of the UN General Assembly took place, and, let's say, it was the time when everyone was talking about global concern and the importance of unification, because the representatives of the countries that were present in the USA tirelessly appealed and stated that the international community can only cope with global woes together, only jointly.
It can, but not on the model of consumerism. The model itself will divide people. Everyone understands, everyone is aware of this, but it's impossible to unite on this model. Any unification will be merely nominal and it will be ineffective. As we mentioned in the previous video, we won't be able to. It will be impossible to put all of our potential into one goal. Why? Because to begin with, every country has to survive. In the consumerist format, this is very important, especially nowadays, when climate threats are escalating more and more, and disasters are becoming more obvious and more severe. This affects the economy very badly, and the states, well, the states, you know, we are used to saying state. A state is, let's say, an administration or a government. They need to address and make those decisions which would keep their country safe and minimize all these consequences precisely for their country. That is their main task, that's their goal. Therefore, they have to take care of every citizen so that they have a better economy, so that it would be easier for people to live, so that people would be happy with them. To put it simply, why? Because this will give them an opportunity to serve another term in that very administration and continue ruling the country. It's normal and natural. And that's why they go there, right? To help people. And they take responsibility for all people. They have to decide and take care of people, right? Right. But it means that they also have to take care of the economy, of many other things, as well as of national security. So how, in such a consumerist format, can we put all of our intellectual and, material resources into one idea, into one goal? It's impossible. We are divided.
We already have to change the consumer format of society into a creative one, in order to create all the necessary conditions for finding solutions to all of humanity's crises. But in order for radical changes to happen and for us to be able to build a creative society, it is important that every person takes an active part. The Creative Society project is aimed at uniting in a completely new format, where human life is in the first place. Learn more about the project at creativesociety.com website. Thank you for being with us today, and see you soon on the Creative Society TV channel.